Hey everybody, welcome. This is another edition of Entrepreneur Mind Hacks. This time I have Susan Finch with me. How you doing, Susan?
Doing great, Carrie. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you contributed to the books. What we're doing is we're celebrating today, actually, as launch day of the two-book set, Entrepreneur Mind Hacks. Susan has an affiliate link. I'm going to ask her to throw that in the comments. If you want to grab a pair of the books, and I say a pair because it's a two-book set, and it's a pay-what-you-can thing. So what's the holdup? You know, it's a no-brainer. Susan's link is there, so go over and grab yourself a copy of those books, and Susan will benefit, and that would be great. And we are going to start out by asking Susan 5 rapid-fire questions to get to know her a little bit better. So, Susan, are you game for that?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, here goes the first. Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Beach, all right. How about chocolate or fruity?
Fruity.
Fruity. You're the first woman who said fruity. All the women so far have said chocolate. That's amazing. Okay.
Lemon in particular.
Lemon. Cool. Cool. All right. How about pickup truck or Mercedes-Benz?
Is it a long drive or local use?
I love it. Practical. Let's say long drive. I know what the answer is.
Oh, Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Beer
now, if I had
or
a trailer
wine?
to go with the pickup, I could go picking and get some antiques, and then, I don't know.
Yeah, if you had your little RV to pull behind, that might be a different story.
Yeah.
So how about, let's see, what did I say? Beer or wine?
Wine.
Wine. All right.
Always hate beer.
Yeah, okay, and here's the last one. Salad or nachos?
Salad.
Salad, cool, I'm with you. My wife and I have gotten into a lot of vegetarian stuff, but people don't want to hear about that right now. All right, we're going to dive into Susan's contributions to the Mind Hacks book. And she actually contributed many things, but there's 2 that I want to focus in on today. And the first one is, she titled it, Productivity Starts Before I Punch the Clock. Now, by punch the clock, I guess you mean start your work day.
Figuratively, right.
Yeah, figuratively speaking, because you don't know.
I would like to find an old one of those to have in my house.
Yeah?
That'd be awesome.
Do you think that would, like, keep you on track?
No, I just like doing it.
Not another mind hack there, just a decor tip from Susan Finch. All right, so here we go. Productivity starts before you punch the clock. So just ramble for us, Susan. What do you mean when you say that?
I mean, before you're really sitting down to the task, you need to be in the right frame of mind to do a great job for the day. And that starts for me from my alarm goes off in the morning, the cats start walking down the hall to join me, and that's when I better be ready. So before I even get out of bed, I make a decision that I am going to have a great day. I'm going to do the very best I can for my clients, be honorable, be helpful, be of service, and have a lot of fun.
That's really cool. So you're kind of getting your brain in the right place before you start. Well, it's more than your brain. I mean, your brain's a body organ, but we're talking about mindset. So,
well, yeah, it's kind of like the Teflon before the kids start fighting in the morning.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, one of the points you made in there, you said blocking out time to prepare for my day is one of the keys to your productivity. How is that so? Why don't you say a key?
Why do I say what?
When do you say it's a key to your productivity? Why is it so important?
Because I need to be able to be prepared to transition from each part of the morning, and for me, it becomes kind of a ritual. You know, I'm not going to put any of those monikers, with all the acronyms on me, but I like routine. Kids like routine. Pets like routine. It's something that I know, okay, this is during this time, I can totally focus, and I'm not distracted trying to jump over to this place or that place. This is the time to do this one part. This is the time then now to do the next thing. So the first, part of my day, after I get myself all spiffy and cute and things, is I don't even leave my room. And I know for some of you women that, like, oh, you're so into makeup and things. Oh, get over it. I was raised that way. My mom never left her bedroom or bathroom until she was ready to greet the day. Anybody could come to the door, could come in spontaneously. She had to go somewhere. She was ready. And I like that because it also put her in that ready mindset to be social, to be prepared. And so I do that. My daughter does it. For me, it's a very comfortable place to be. So then I come out. And then I'm ready to do a couple of things. It's either get the place ready to welcome my children when they wake up, which to me is a loving thing to do. I go through all those routines, get all the pets happy, everybody's not nagging me. But I also have my time that I do for personal projects, whether it's volunteering for Binky Patrol, which is my nonprofit. We make blankets for kids that are ill and abused. So I'll spend some time working on that website, corresponding with people, making graphics, whatever it is, commercials to help promote the organization. Or I'll be volunteering for the school, maybe working on a project for an art lesson coming up, or helping family, or making greeting cards for the month for all the birthdays coming up. But that's that time.
Yeah.
And nothing gets in my way. I don't check my email. I don't check Twitter. I don't do any of that. So
you're doing something really cool here. You're tying together parts of life that we don't necessarily think about as productivity parts with the productivity. You're bringing in the household, the domestic, the family, and you're utilizing all that to develop like you said, a routine that helps you get ready for the day and then be productive throughout the day. Do you think that we as human beings are kind of wired for structure, that we like structure?
Oh, I think we crave it, and we don't always realize when you're surrounded with clutter, when you're surrounded with mess, undone projects, piles that remind you that you have not met an obligation or a goal, it's depressing. And it can really, I don't think we realize how much it weighs on us until we change it. I've watched the difference even in my kids when all of a sudden their room is decluttered and things are put away, or I handle a whole bunch of laundry and just put it all away. Whatever it is, all of a sudden I'm clearer. My desk, if it's not clear, my little desk area, I have like 2 chairs, people can come in and sit here if they want to with me. But if it's not ready and welcoming, with a coaster next to it to have somebody to have tea with me, it's cluttered. It's stacked with things. It's stacked with blankets. It's stacked with papers, with taxes, whatever it is. And that starts to come down on you. Have you ever seen that movie Labyrinth?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the movie Labyrinth, towards the end, the people that had all the crud on their backs and it was all stacked on them,
yeah,
and it was piled all around them because they needed their stuff, it's like that. And it just weighs down on you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember, we've moved more times than I care to count, but I remember one time when we moved, you're in that place where you've got everything in the house and you're unpacking boxes and you have piles of boxes everywhere. Well, my wife tends to go one room at a time, and she would get the living room all set up, pictures on the wall, everything, before she'd move on to another room. And I noticed one of our kids was in that room sitting on the couch with a book. That was the place to be because it was all ordered, because it was all under structure. I think that's an example of what you're talking about.
It is. It's that peace that you can get. How can you go on to the next thought if you're still being bogged down? And I think the other thing is the negative reminders. Who wants to be reminded of what you didn't finish yet? It's not a lot of fun, and it doesn't help you get out of it quicker. It just makes you feel worse inside, I think. And maybe not for everybody. For me, it makes me feel worse inside of knowing that failure there. It might be a little failure. It might be just a little setback. But they add up.
Sure.
And the more evidence of that is exhausting.
Yeah, it's kind of like unresolved conflicts. The more of them that happen, the bigger the pile gets, and you just don't feel good about those things. So you included just a little quick bullet point list from your own life of the kind of things that you do, simple tasks, you called them, in the morning to help you get your life kind of in this structure. Things like cleaning the table, the cats and the dog are fed, the kitchen floor and the counter are cleared. And you mentioned earlier those are kind of loving things toward your family. Talk to me about that. Why do you feel like that's important for productivity?
I need to be of service. When I'm of service, I'm the happiest. When I'm creating, I'm the happiest. When I'm not doing those two things, something's off. And I'm either unhappy, I'm grumpy, I'm too focused on self, too worried about something else, and my priorities are not in the right place, or I'm on the defense because my daughter glared at me the wrong way, and I get caught up in that. But if I can step back and remember to come from love from the beginning, I can at least start the day out well. It doesn't always end that way, but I can have a great start to my day if I do that. So to me, to have it a very welcoming place, they don't always even notice why it's nicer for them that morning. But I give them a clean setting for their meal, a clean setting to create their lunches for them. And yeah, they can make their own, but most of the time if we're not, I'll make it for them. Again, because I want to send them with something that says, my mom took the time to slice my apples really thin so I could have conversations in my lunch, during my lunch, without my mouth full of food. Little things like that, she notices.
That's
And
really cool.
and she, they're little dopey things like that, but just my friends say you slice my apples really thin and nobody else does that, and it lets me be able to talk more without having my mouth full and finish chewing. It's like, okay, that made my day. And so then I'm set up for, it's like, I can, it doesn't have to be big stuff, folks. It doesn't have to be big elaborate systems. Very little things to show that you have this check mark and success.
Yeah, and Susan, I love that you notice that she enjoys that, and you do it intentionally. And as we transmit that into a business context, there's probably a lot of entrepreneurs, self-employed people watching. We have to think that way about our clients too, don't we?
We do, and it's the same thing. As part of the whole preparation thing, I say prayers at night, thanking God for my clients that let me work from home. Every day I have gratitude for that. And every morning I ask God for the help to do my best for them, to be honest, to give them good advice, and to take their feelings into consideration as well and be respectful.
Well, he's definitely answering those prayers from that sort of
it feels like it. I have fabulous clients. I am so stinking blessed. I really am.
That is great. That's great. I feel the same way about my clients. Now, you were talking about your life of faith there. You mentioned in your post that you were married by a priest named Father O Gorman, and he had a statement that he made to you that really impacted you. Can you tell us about that statement and why it's so powerful in your life?
Sure. When Tom and I decided to get married, Father O Gorman used to come to our house for dinner like every other week, which was fun for us. I think he liked it because we were kind of silly. And when we decided to get married, this is after we had our daughter, it's like, okay, we're getting married. And he told us just to pick a day and time, but he asked us to make one decision. He said, there is no right or wrong answer to this, but it will change the whole tone of the event and your mindset for it.
And so he was talking about your marriage event.
Our wedding.
Your wedding.
The whole wedding, the whole ceremony, the whole day. He said, are you to be the gracious host or the honored guest? So am I the pretty princess, or am I opening up an intimate part of our lives to share it with those and welcoming people in? So we chose the prior. We decided to be the gracious host because we were so thrilled and we knew we were so blessed to find each other.
Yeah. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And so how does that transmit into the way you think about business and the way you think about your clients and the service that you're providing?
It ties to one of the best bosses, because Greg Smith, if you're listening, you were great too. But Jack Mealer ran ad agencies in Orange County, California. And I was so fortunate to get to work for him. And I remember going into the coffee room and I saw a mug, and on it said, we do not need our clients do not need us. We need our clients.
Yeah.
And that embodied the entire tone of everything we did. We took nothing for granted. We were not the prima donna agency, the creatives that could, bestow our knowledge and creative genius on people. We were gracious, we were grateful, we were of service.
I love that. I love that. Because it's funny how it's called customer service, and yet so many people act like the customer's a bother.
Right.
And the way that you're describing it to me really epitomizes what that phrase means. I mean, customer service. We're here to serve the customer.
Yeah, if a customer's a bother to you, you haven't trained your customers well enough, and nor yourself as to what to expect from them. You have not given them enough information. You haven't communicated clearly enough. And you have come with a condescending attitude that you were there to save the day. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
God, you guys are gross when you do that. I run into it all the time rescuing clients from old tech people that had them hostage, had their information hostage, their site, because they knew everything. Man, I will teach you anything you want to learn. You're going to pay me for my time, but I will teach you anything that you want to learn, and I will teach it to you respectfully and in terms that make sense to you, because I know you know a lot about things I don't know, and I wouldn't understand some of what you're teaching me. So I'm going to take that same respect that you are muy smart with a really big brain, but you don't know what I know on this one thing. So I'm going to show you how to do it to give you the keys and be powerful.
Yeah, it's not about holding your clients captive. It's about equipping them
Right.
making them more successful.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Susan, let's switch here for a second. We're going to move to the other contribution that I wanted to dig into, and it's from book 2, and it was titled Five Mindset Game Changers During a Rough Day. Okay,
Well,
now unpack for me for a second what you mean by mindset game changers.
most of the time when I'm having a rotten day, or it's evolved into some rotten moments, there are no bad days. There's some bad moments. At times you really get crammed together to make a bad hour or two.
Sure.
But I forget, somebody asked me once, somebody that's one of my Facebook friends asked me, that means they've known me forever, are you ready to be done with that yet? You know, whatever it was, okay, let me know when you're done with that. And you can choose to stop being in the bad mood. You can choose to stop having the bad day. Stop the bad moments in their tracks. Sometimes, though, it's hard to jar ourselves out of it because you're so mired in it. You don't even realize that you're spiraling down, and it's going deeper and deeper rather fast. I'm blessed I have a husband that will call me out. So, what's with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you being like that? And so, need to look at that. But when I'm home alone and don't have that, I need to change my scene, change the setting. Any of you with kids have probably noticed that too. Sometimes you just need to change their venue. If they're pitching a fit, get them outside. Get yourself outside. Take a walk. Call a friend that probably doesn't get a lot of calls. Call an older relative. Tell them, think about them for a moment. Think of something positive you can say to them. For all you know, that's the best thing they've heard all day. I did that the other day. I used to have an art gallery in Laguna Beach, and there was an older artist, such a character, did the most amazing paintings. John Bruce is his name. And I was thinking about him. There was one of his paintings that just came to mind. And I thought, I haven't talked to him in 20 years. And I looked him up online, and I found his domain, and it wasn't a protected record, so I went through GoDaddy, and I found his phone number, and I called him. And he's 85 years old, and recently in a wheelchair, and it was the very day his home was being turned into a group home.
Oh, my.
And we howled. We laughed so hard, and I got him laughing. And you could tell it made his day that he actually still mattered.
Susan,
So
that is beautiful. I'm proud of you for doing that.
Oh, you have to. It was a New Year's resolution I made a couple years ago that when I have something nice to think about somebody, pick up the phone, find them. And so I did that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That reminds me of a conversation I was having with my children just the other day, and we were talking about the whole issue of how we all have our own set of insecurities and fears and self-doubts and all those kinds of things. And I said, imagine if all of those things that you feel about yourself or that you fight with could be squeezed into a paintball and was shot onto you. And so you have this fluorescent paint on you that shows those insecurities and fears and everything. Now imagine everybody has that paint splotch on them, and you can actually see it. How would that affect how you relate with that person if you're reminded so openly that they have that kind of insecurity just hanging on them all the time? I think things like you did are the kind of things that would come to mind. Well, they need their day brightened. They need to be lifted. They need to be encouraged. Where's the paintballs? I think we need to find some.
Well, it's one of those things too. It's like with my nonprofit, you don't realize the second part of that gift. Yeah, you're doing for others, but when you're doing it purely from your heart and not to get something back, you actually do. But you got to look for it, and you have to notice it. Otherwise, you're going to miss it.
Yeah, that's totally true. Totally true. And somebody put here in the comments, Yvonne said, especially because you never know when it's going to be too late to tell them.
Yvonne knows that quite deeply.
Yeah. I mean, that's just totally true. I think about that all the time. There's an old song country song my wife's got that says, "What's going without saying should be said." And I just love that idea, and it reminds me often.
When I was in middle school and high school, I attended some church retreats, through our youth group and stuff. And one of the songs they'd always play when we would come back, and they would play all this, they actually took slides and would do a slideshow at the end of the event. So when our parents were coming to pick us up, they would play this beautiful slideshow, and it was always to this song, "We May Never Pass This Way Again" by Seals and Croft.
Yeah.
And if you know that song, folks, I'm going to put a link to it in the comments. Think about it, and think about it deeply.
Yeah, Yeah, you got to. I love Stephen Covey's line in his book about 7 Habits of Successful People. He says begin with the end in mind, and for me that means the end of my life. I mean, what am I going to leave behind, and what are the moments I'm living right now adding up to in that regard? So that kind of helps me adjust how I'm going to think of this day and the people I
Exactly.
interact with. Yeah.
I remember when my uncle died. He wasn't religious. He was an atheist. He was a good man. That doesn't determine whether people are good or not, whether they have, his faith or religion or whatever. I remember one of the most beautiful things, though, somebody said about him. And this is the type of legacy you want to leave. He never said an unkind word about anyone. Now, I'm not there, and I never will be, because that's not me. But he never said an unkind word about anyone. And I've heard other people, things said about them. They always brightened my day. They always gave me joy when I talked to them. They always thought of others first. I knew I could always trust them. These are the things that matter, folks, not that I remember when they were on television. I remember when they, did this thing or made a bunch of money. What are you left with? Is that what you want to be remembered for most? Gosh, you made a lot of money. Good for you. I would rather touch lives, and maybe that's just me, but I would rather impact the future through touching lives in a positive way, giving them gifts, giving them confidence, letting them know they matter, letting them be creative.
Yeah, those are great thoughts, Susan. I totally agree with you. People are more important than things. That's the thing that got ground into me at some point in my life, and I love it when people run their business with that sort of a mindset, because the customer is cared for then, rather than just a commodity that's given a paycheck. So let's talk a little more. Let's dig into some of the practical things you said about when you're having that bad day or the bad day comes upon you, and things you can do to change that mindset. The first you said was walk outside. You're just a quick little blurb. You said take a 20-minute walk to stretch your body. It shapes your insides and your thinking. So expand on that for me.
I actually hadn't thought about that before, but Barbara Corcoran's book, If Your Breasts Are Too Small, Put Ribbons in Your Pigtails. I love the book, but that was one of the things that when her team would get bogged down by things in the office, she would take them ice skating in the winter. She would get them out because it frees up your mind to be creative again. And again, it's shifting you away from what maybe was weighing down that you didn't realize, and all of a sudden you're open again.
Yeah. I actually didn't even think about that this morning, but I did that very thing. I woke up and I was feeling groggy, and it's not typical for me. I'm usually ready to go when I wake up, and I just thought I just need to go on a walk. I just need to go out and get some fresh air. And it was 15 degrees, so I had to bundle up, but it just got me going today.
Yep, it is. It's invigorating.
Yeah. The next thing that you said was call a friend or a family member to listen to them. Be present.
And that's huge. Sometimes I'll get calls from friends or something, and I feel like I'm spending a half hour and I'm listening to them, and they've called because they wanted to share, but I never get a chance to say anything or tell anything about what's going on or get any questions asked of me. And I have to say, okay, they needed to be able to talk. But I also want to remember that then when I call somebody else, don't just fill them in on my day, fill them in on what's going on with me. Ask them about them and really listen to the answer and respond with empathy, with compassion, with laughter, whatever fits. But listen all the way. Don't be walking around cleaning your house or anything else. Focus and listen to them. Yeah,
listening is so powerful. We learned that in communication class somewhere before, as we were first married or something. You want to seek to understand and then to be understood. And so asking questions, listening, man, so powerful, so powerful. Okay, the next thing you said was get out a pencil and paper. Okay, so let's make the scene here. Okay, the bad day has come upon, the bad circumstance. You want to shift your mindset. Get out a piece of pencil and a pencil and a piece of paper. What does that mean?
Get off the screen. When we create or express ourselves through writing, it's a different part of your brain that gets engaged than the one that's watching screens. It's totally different. Yeah. And you make a list, draw pictures, I don't care, get out a whiteboard. I have a whiteboard right next to my desk at all times. I'm telling you, it's right here. And when I need to, sometimes I will plan things out and draw right on the whiteboard. But I'm doing it with my hands, and it's something touchable, tangible. It's just different than the screen. And there have been studies to show that it engages different parts of your brain when you communicate, writing a thank you note by hand than shooting off an email. Doesn't discount the email, and it's a very nice thing to get. But it's a different part of your brain and a focus that is so intense when you're doing it that way.
Yeah, my theory too is that I don't mean this in some mystical, esoteric way, but it becomes more real to you. It becomes more tangible when you're able to actually physically write it out and see it and hear the pencil scratching on the paper.
I agree.
Yeah, there's something interesting that goes on there. You said do some gardening, and that sounds like you might be a gardener.
I'm really not. I like to dig in the dirt.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm prone to, my neighbors crack up because I'll be mowing the lawn like right from church. I'll come home. So I have the jewelry on. The only thing I've changed is my shoes. And I'm out there in this velvet skirt, and I have the little shirt on, and I have the jewelry, and I'm out there mowing the lawn. And I can come back from a meeting or from doing something like this, and I might see something out there that's bugging me. And it's that instant gratification of a sense of accomplishment. I like to mow. I like to vacuum. I like to iron. For that same reason every time. I can see the results immediately and know that I have succeeded and completed it.
Yeah. You know, one of the jobs I had to take on when we were first married that I hated but loved at the same time was carpet cleaning. I hated it just because of what it was, but I loved it because you could see the result. And
weren't your clients just thrilled no matter what you did? Because it's always an improvement. If they're calling you, it's already yucky.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun because you could use that in your sales techniques and call them in right in the middle of the worst part and go, hey, I just wanted you to see how this is. And boy, it was great. It really was. Okay, the last thing that you mentioned, if you're having that bad day and you need a mindset reset, is turn off the phone, turn off the email, turn off notifications and on your phone and your computer. So why is that important for you?
Multitasking is dumb. Stop it. It is not productive. When we shift from one thing to another, we are never fully focused on any task to do our very best at it if we are constantly answering the bing bongs. We are not Pavlov's dog. We don't have to be. Turn them off. It will wait. Truly. You're not that important. The thing isn't that. It can wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you're waiting for that special email, fine. And then go back here, but turn it off. Close out the window. Focus on the task you're working on, whether it's blog posting, writing, social media setup, creating a proposal, creating your own strategies, paying your bills. I don't care, but focus.
Sure. That reminds me of something someone said to me one time, that you want to create an atmosphere for success. And, who's to say that little bing bong in your email is not another piece of bad news and you're already in the middle of a bad situation? Turn it off. You don't need it right now.
Or it's a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. You need all your wits about you to deal with a difficult situation. That's for sure. Well, Susan, I want to thank you again for your contributions to the Mind Hacks books. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, if you weren't here, Susan has an affiliate link she's going to throw in the comments.
Oh, it was there before we even started.
Cool. Jump on there. The books are pay what you can, so go and check out those books. Pass the word about them. We want to make this just a great resource. That's why it's pay what you can. It's a great resource for anybody who needs it. So go and find. There's a 2-book set. Susan's just one of the 25 contributors. Susan, how can people find you and be in touch with you?
Easy enough. SusanFinch.com. Every other way is over there.
Yeah, SusanFinch.com. I love that. Simple and sweet. Well, Susan, any last things you want to tell us a little bit about Binky Patrol? Just give people the opportunity to help.
BinkyPatrol.org, BINKYPATROL.org. We're a nonprofit. Anybody can volunteer. We make blankets. We give them away to kids and teens who are in need of comfort, those that are invisible, the ones that are abused, forgotten, living under the bridges, in clinics, in shelters. We're there for them. We want them to know they matter and they are not forgotten.
And so how'd you get the idea to do this?
Many years ago when I had that art gallery, I was in a bad place in that and that marriage. And I was feeling sorry for myself. And my mom always taught me to get out of myself, get off the pity pot, And she showed up that very day wanting to make blankets for unwed mothers. I thought, there we go. That's it. Thanks God. And so within about 4 hours, I put together this organization, drew the logo, had a sign out, and had 4 volunteers.
Wow, that is great, Susan. That is just wonderful. There's a bad day mindset reset right there. Just go find something to do for somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Susan, again, thanks for your time. It's been a great chatting with you, and we'll replay this into infinity so that people can get these great tips from you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I appreciate being invited to contribute too.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks.
Bye.